What's good people?
What's going on, everybody?
Welcome back to another episode of the AdultDeck podcast, the place where you come learn how to stack your cards against the game of life. As always, I am your host, Sharon Scott, and I am here with my husband and co-host, Mr. Peter Scott.
I'm really still 2 years into this, still expecting Jaeger to come out.
It's only one. Oh, you mean the marriage? Yes. My bad.
Okay.
I thought you meant like 2 years of the podcast, and I was like,
Okay.
no, we only doing it for a year.
I'm still expecting Jaeger to come out your mouth, that's all.
Yeah. Every now and then I still go to like sign stuff with Jaeger and then be like, oh wait, no, that's not right. This week, well, first and foremost, I want to give a shout.
Second recording. Oh, no?
Yes.
Okay.
But first and foremost, I want to give a shout out to our Patreon. Our Patreon members, our Patreon members get to see our podcast live. They get to be involved in the making of an episode. You know, they get the chance to ask us questions. They get to see exclusive content before it comes out. They get to
see us start over 5 times.
Yes.
All those good blooper stuff.
All those good things. Because let me tell you, it was rough trying to get it together today.
A little bit.
And it was one of those days where it's just
At least
like...
I didn't spill my water.
But it was one of those things where it's just like I don't know. It's like you just fumble.
Yeah.
You just fumble. Just fumbled the opening a little bit. But it's cool because our Patreon subscribers love us. They are the Scott Gang. And they just get to have some exclusive perks.
We get to have fun with us, that's all.
That's it. So if you want to have fun with us and you want to have access to, you know, more content, you get to see all of the bloopers and outtakes. You get to see all of the outrageous things. You get to watch us record live and ask us questions, all that good stuff. I'm sure y'all have heard the spiel before. But if you want to be part of the Scott Gang, go ahead and subscribe to our Patreon. The link is in the description below. And yeah.
What are we getting into today?
This week, we're going to talk about, you know, self-care, self-love, self-care, me time, those good things. More specifically, me time. And this episode kind of stems from, I guess, what's been going on in our day-to-day life. A little while ago, Peter asked me for him to have dedicated me time, and I didn't quite take that too well at first. So, essentially, me time is just the process of showing love and appreciation to yourself. Like, anything that just, you know, makes you feel good.
You feel nice.
You know? And I think... my opinion, I think me time specifically, in order for it to be beneficial, should be done by yourself, no one else around you, just with the intention to like reflect and rest and just like rejuvenate yourself, your spirit, decompress, things like that.
I get that.
Yeah. And like I said before, me time can be anything. I think of it, like I said, just as anything that brings you love and joy for yourself and peace in yourself. For a lot of people, it's getting your nails done, getting your hair done. Like, I always feel good when I get my hair done.
Yeah, I haven't gone and gotten a haircut in a while, as you might be able to tell. I've been doing it myself, and that's not a real feel-good type moment for me because I'm working, so
I was going to say...
haircuts work. So I'm glad to pay somebody to do it for me.
Gosh.
I need to go back and see my barber. I haven't seen that dude in a hot minute.
For the purposes of a haircut, at least.
I mean, yeah. Very true. Sorry. You know, mute.
Disrespectful. See, this is what we mean. Trying to get stuff together.
See, if she just rolled with it, we would have been fine. Nobody would have noticed. Nobody would have known otherwise.
Anyway. So for you, it's going to the barber. For me, it's reading books. And honestly, sometimes just sitting in silence and being able to like think and reflect on what's been going on in my life, how I've been feeling lately. Kind of sort of just like a mental check-in.
Yeah.
But some of the more traditional forms of self-care has been like, not going to the spa, but sitting and having a nice bubble bath.
I'm about to say, you can't go nowhere right now. At least you're not supposed to.
You're not supposed to.
But yeah, spa days.
Yeah.
Video games might be your thing. Having a music hour might be your thing. Books. Comics.
Even writing in your journal and attending therapy sessions. Even.
Therapy. That's definitely me time and self-love.
Right? Yes. But I think something that people don't really consider a lot of times is the, I guess the not so feel good parts about self-care. Well,
Well, just go with it.
I know.
Take
so self-care
lead you.
So there's a difference, I think, between self-care and me time. But I think me time is a form of self-care.
I'd agree with that.
And like I kind of found myself like interchanging the words, and I was like, I don't want to do that. Let me set clear distinctions.
Okay. Self-care, self-love would be the.
Yes. Well, yes. It's showing love to yourself.
Yeah. We're working this out. We don't practice beforehand. We don't have a round table where we read off scripts or nothing. This is just off the dome.
Off the dome. I got a couple notes. That's about it.
It's really a guideline.
So self-care, me time is a form of self-care.
Right.
And I think a lot of times people are like, oh, well, self-care is, the me time aspect of going and getting my nails done, going shopping by myself, doing those things. However, self-care is also the act of doing not so, I guess, easy things. Like setting boundaries with your friends and family members, people in your circle.
Things that might make somebody else uncomfortable, not necessarily you.
For me, it's definitely managing my triggers, and sometimes that includes leaving functions early, back when we had parties and was out with people.
Or allowing your husband to have his me time without having your feelings get hurt.
Or allowing your husband to have his me time. But all of those things fall into the form of self-care.
At least I know for me time, or at least self-care as it looks for myself, that's getting up extra early. I'm thinking about getting up earlier. I haven't convinced myself yet.
You finally gonna join the 5 a.m. club?
I ain't say all that. Maybe 5:30, 5:45.
The 5:45 club?
Maybe that. I'm getting up at 6 now. I'm trying to work out in the morning. I want to get... I work in a seat all day, so, they say you should work out 45 minutes if your majority of your day is in a chair. So I'm trying to hit that.
Yeah.
So I might need to wake up earlier to hit that. But also, I have things I want to do for Scott Enterprise and production. And now that things are ramping back up in my job, I don't kind of have that time during the day to do that. So I might have to do that in the morning. I may have to do that in the evening. I don't want to do it in the evening. I'm going to be tired. So it's waking up earlier, working out, video games. That's what it looks like for me. Video games is tricky because now video games is part of a job for me. But I kind of worked it to where I do what I need to on my free video game time. That's why you got different save files now. It's a godsend. Comic books. I still got one comic I need to read every Wednesday. I try to divvy them out until I get to the next Wednesday to give me something to do, but
it don't work.
That don't work. But yeah, me time, self-love, self-care, that it looks different for everybody. It can be different for everybody.
But I think one of the ways, if you're like having trouble, when I started being intentional about practicing self-care and as a result having that me time, I didn't really quite know what to do. But I read an article online where it suggested to practice the 5 love languages on yourself. So whether words of affirmation is if words of affirmation is your love language, tell yourself good things. Put it on sticky notes.
Yeah.
Like, post them up around the place.
Words of affirmation.
Look in the mirror and say,
"You're pretty.
You pretty. You
I
cute.
like them cheeks. They nice and puffy."
You cute. So words of affirmation. Another love language, physical touch. And, like, this is for me. I literally had to, like, start hugging myself, start just, like, touching my legs, just
I'm not all that handsy myself, so I'm trying to get better. I'm getting better. Mm-hmm. But I still ain't quite where she needs me to be, so, you know, she got to figure that out for herself, too, now.
Yeah. I mean, but showing self-love to yourself. Mm-hmm. That's going to be a lot, showing self-love to yourself. But showing love to yourself, I think, is just as important to showing it to other people.
No, absolutely. And that's, I always loved, at least while I was in the dating pool, people always love to hit you with that, how can you love me when I don't love myself? It's like, you should probably figure that out.
Yes. I agree that if you have trouble loving yourself, you should work on figuring it out. But I also think that statement is tricky. The how can you love me if you don't love yourself thing. I like to think of it more as because I love you, I can then love myself. It's just about shifting that focus.
Yeah. And that's where I was going. Usually those statements kind of puts it on the other person. But really the person who is uttering those words should take that for themselves.
I agree. But a lot of times it's hard to give yourself advice. Because I can look at other people all day and give them the benefit of the doubt. But when it comes to me, I'm just like, beating myself up, stressed out. Hence why this is the second recording of this episode. Because I was extremely unsatisfied with the first one.
Hey, I ain't mad at you. Your sound man wasn't up to snuff. You got to work on that.
Yeah, you do. But I think, you know, self-care, me time, I think all of those things are just extremely important to your day-to-day and being able to, I guess, continuously produce, maybe not produce, I don't think produce is the right word, but essentially just to continuously
put your best foot forward.
Thank you, yes. More to put your best foot forward, to experience the world and everything that it has to offer. I was going to say, and for me, it's more so, I feel like at this point in my life, a lot of it is, majority of it is giving back to me, but also giving back to others, in the form of making this podcast, in the form of contacting people, in the form of, like, just doing stuff throughout the day.
Looking out for friends. Even if, you know, y'all haven't spoken in 2 weeks, just throw that text out. Hey, how's it going? How you doing? How you feeling?
Yeah.
It could be a 15-minute conversation. It could be an hour conversation.
Yes.
As long as they know you care. That could be a form of self-love, not just for them, but for you too.
Yeah.
Like, I have friends. Let me check on my friends so I can keep my friends.
And then I think your friends are just a part of your life. They make you feel good. They give you insight into what else is going on. But needless to say, to be able to care for others effectively, you have to care for yourself. And I think that's why self-care and self-love is so important.
As you said, you can't pour out of an empty cup. You can't celebrate your friend's win if you're depressed. You're kind of going to be milking that, congratulations. Yeah.
Oh, gosh. Yes. But one of the reasons for self-care is to, you know, be able to give to others effectively, be able to care for other people, dish things out, all that good stuff. Another reason for self-care and me time is essentially that, look, work gets overwhelming.
Life. Period.
Gets overwhelming.
Exhausting.
Man. And, like, so for me, it's like the podcast. It's a lot that goes into creating a podcast episode. It's like developing ideas, and then once you have that idea, then move into researching that topic and that idea, thinking about how you're going to present this information, for me, it's also advertising, learning how different social media platforms work, all that good stuff, interacting with people, reaching out to see if people are available to be guests. Like, all of this good stuff goes into creating a podcast episode.
It's mentally exhausting.
Yes. So, and I started, I think between the second and third season break, essentially, is when I kind of like took a step back and was like, oh, I'm exhausted.
A deep breath.
Like, just to take a breather and be like, this is crazy. And it came out in other forms. My overwhelm and stress came out in other forms. It was like, I felt like we were bickering a lot. I felt like nobody, like, I don't know, I kind of sort of felt alone and like stressed out, a whole bunch of other stuff. But essentially I kind of started making it a point to have me time, even if it's just 5 minutes in the morning, to like decompress, process my thoughts.
Excuse me.
To decompress and process my thoughts. And it's just, that's one of the ways that self-care can help. It gives you time to just lay everything out and think about it and process it, instead of feeling like you have to move to this without taking a break.
No, I get that. When you're going nonstop, especially people who are starting their own businesses and starting up things for themselves, or even starting that new job where you feel like when you're in this 90 days probation, you can't take a break. You better not get sick. You're hoping your car doesn't break down. These stresses, or even when you're building a new business, it's like, how am I going to get this business permit? Do I need a certain license to sell somewhere? Do I need certain copyrights to put certain things in certain videos and upload that? Those things can definitely get stressful, and it doesn't happen all at once. It's things that slowly build over time until one day you're just like, I can't keep going.
I can't do it.
I need to sit for a week or a month, take a breath.
Absolutely. And then it's also the fact that, like, your mental has a very, very direct impact on your physical well-being. Like, the term stress kills is literally because when you're stressed out and chronically overwhelmed for very long periods of time, it weakens your heart because you're constantly pumping extra blood. Like,
I like to think of the body as a computer. Maybe because I'm a nerd. You decide. Your brain is your motherboard. That's your hard drive. It's what runs your entire system. If that hard drive gets corrupted, or an antivirus, something gets on there, which is your depression, your workload, life, and anything that life has to offer that can weigh you down, the rest of your computer is going to slow down. You're going to crash. You're going to get pop-ups left and right. You ain't going to do nothing. Your bones are going to crack.
Yeah.
All that.
Think about people who die from broken hearts. Like, after you've been in a couple for 20, 50...
They just couldn't keep going. They were missing that peace.
And then just, like, the mental pain of knowing that a loved one is gone and that you won't see them again kind of turns into that physical pain of... this legitimately hurts. Yeah. Like when you get scared, what happens? When you
start sweating, you freak out. Some people start shaking.
It's all in your head. It started out in your head. Being scared is a feeling, is an emotion. Yep. So you have to take care of your mental to be able to take care of your physical, and just to be able to keep going, just to be able to continue pouring out what you pour into other people. But as I said before, you can't pour from an empty cup. You have to take care of yourself before you can take care of everybody else.
So how does that work for people in relationships where, you're supposed to be spending your life with this person? All their problems are your problems, all your problems are their problems. How can you still, with all of that, your own issues, your own life, plus the life of somebody else you're in a partnership with, how can you still find that peace, that self-love?
By taking time to yourself.
Me time.
Me time. Yes. So, and this is what prompted this episode, and this is kind of why I felt it was important to go through it, because me and Peter deal with this exact thing. You know, for me growing up, I had always seen and always heard the
Excuse me.
rhetoric, adage, I guess. Just a lot of people talking about how, you know, once you get married, you're going to be a couple. You have to move as a unit. Like, even in the Bible, it says, you know, a man leaves his family
to go make a life with his wife, to be with his wife.
So because of all of those values being reinforced, getting into a marriage, being an adult, I was kind of like I was definitely believing that, like, everything we has to do has to be a unit. You can't, like, keep things from me. We have to know every single thing about each other. We always have to be around each other, like, all those good things. And of course, now being an adult, I'm like, nah.
But that's also, gonna use a technical word here, your family of origin too.
Yeah.
Because let me tell you, my family wasn't like that. Yeah, we came together for dinner. But other than that, mom's at work, dad's in his office at work, Galen's in his room, Jay's in his room, I'm in mine. See ya.
I was saying, your parents.
Absence makes the heart grow fonder. There's a reason people say that. Now, being out of the house and away from my family, I love hanging out with them. It might be 3 months at a time, but I love hanging out with y'all. It's great. I've been hanging out with my older brother. And being 8 years older, him being 8 years older than me, I never got this relationship with him. This is great. This is something I've always wanted. Then again, we've also been hanging out a lot. And I'm like, Jay, I love you. I love your wife. I want to sit, man, and do nothing. Gosh. Please. Yes. And he's been giving me that space. I love him. Now I want to hang out with him again.
But that is a very perfect example of how self-care is setting those boundaries. I have had to work very hard on setting boundaries. And it's, like you said, it's because we've been hanging out, but you also realize that you're tired. You're kind of, I won't say worn out. I feel like that has a negative connotation.
But that's the word. Like, words have meaning. You're worn out, meaning that you're not completely dead, but if you keep getting hammered at, you might break. Wear and tear. Like, you need a break. Sit down so you can build yourself back up and you can go back out in the world and tackle it. And the relationship, that was just me and my brother's relationship. In our relationship, I love my wife. She loves having me around. I love being around her. But as you can tell, I come from a family that isn't always around each other. Yet we still love each other unconditionally. So with Sharon, after 2 years into this marriage.
I think I also want to say that it's not just the 2 years of marriage.
Oh no, we've been married for like 10 years. Quarantine has like it dropped us in the hyperbolic time chamber where a day is a year, and we've been living like that for a while.
I would say that
we have experience
combined with the fact that we like lived together before we were married.
That
like
too. We've been dating for damn near 8 years.
Right? Oh, that's a lot. Anyway.
So finally I broke down and I was like, I need my space.
Yes.
First and foremost.
Yes.
But it didn't even prompt that. Like, I wasn't thinking about it like that. It started with I needed to wake up earlier because I wanted to work out. I can't work out in the... I can't trust myself to work out in the evening or in the afternoon because I'm going to be tired. That's just how it is. I work a mentally exhaustive job and that reflects in my body. So I get tired. But if I wake up in the morning and that's the first thing I got to do, I can't complain about nothing else. It's the first thing off my list. I'm done. I'm good. I got I can't even say 23 more hours. 15 more hours. That number bugs me right now.
15?
15.
Why?
Because it was supposed to be 15 minutes. Not 15 hours. Either way, I just needed... so I was working out. It didn't start off as me needing space. It started off as me needing to work out. But then
You enjoyed working out by yourself.
Sharon doesn't like being in bed by herself.
Okay.
For long.
It's not necessarily the fact that I don't like being in bed.
She just woke up early because I woke up early.
That's more so what it was. Because I felt, or I was under the impression that, and of course this is where communication kind of comes in, but I was under the impression that that if I'm not like, if Peter doesn't physically see me up and doing stuff, then because of the fact that I'm not working a corporate job, then it's going to be like, it's going to create animosity. And the last thing I wanted was to create animosity. So I was just like, all right, let me sacrifice my sleep and get up and not have boundaries. But I've gotten over that because
thank goodness
I be in bed.
So I had to break it to her, and it was something I figured out as I was talking to her about it. Like I said, I didn't set out for this. It's just something that came about because I realized I needed it. So I had to break it. I'm like, hey, I'm waking up early. You don't have to wake up with me. I'm kind of going to co-opt this as my me time.
Yes.
I'm not trying to encroach on your time either. So while you're still asleep for the next 2-3 hours, whatever, I'm going to get up. I'm going to work out. Probably edit some videos. Crushed 4 hours of work in 2. And go back to my life with us. Yeah. And you have the rest of the day with me. Do that as you will.
I took offense. That's what I did with that. But it was just because, like I said, I was under the belief that we're supposed to do everything, be everything.
Yeah, I get it.
So it was like Peter asking for that me time kind of made me question myself and be like, well, like, am I not doing something? Am I getting on his nerves? Like, is there just, I was like, is there something that he wants to do purposely without me? Like, what? Why do you need?
1-bedroom apartment. She will hear when I open the door.
I will, and I'll hop up in a second. Where are you going? But
what am I gonna do?
But it was, it was definitely. I kind of took offense to it because I was like, I am the love of your life. What do you mean you need me time?
It means I want you to stay the love of my life. So give me a minute.
But after like talking through it, and like I said, in that conversation, I realized why I was so stressed out about getting up early. And it just took time to like unpack those things. And it's funny because Peter's me time in the morning has resulted in him like going to sleep, falling asleep on the couch earlier, everything. So now where it was like at first, what are you doing up without me? It has turned into, all right, go ahead to sleep so I can be by myself for a little bit.
Yeah, I will. I'll wrap up.
Hilarious. But it's just, I had to learn that you are a complete and whole entity outside of being my husband and being my best friend. Mm-hmm. And as a result of that, you have to kind of recharge your batteries every now and then.
I like partnerships are two people. Like you can't be a partner with yourself, meaning there has to be somebody else there with their own issues, with their own life, with their own style of living, all of that. And when you get married and you get into this partnership, yes, you become one, but the Bible says two become one. Meaning you're one family, you're one image, but there's still two of you. Like you're still two individual people. So you need a minute, I need a minute. So that when we come back together, we are a stronger unit.
I was gonna say, and then it's exactly what you said about, it's exactly what you said about absence making the heart grow fonder. Mm-hmm. It's like I don't appreciate how much. It's weird because I don't necessarily appreciate how much I love and enjoy being with you until I'm without you. Mm-hmm.
Like, look, y'all, I'm ready for her to be out of this house tomorrow so I can be by myself, so I can love on her when she get back because I'm going to miss the hell out of her. But let me tell you, I'm going to be farting.
Oh, my gosh. Why?
Trust me, you might catch me farting every now and then, but it ain't like when you gone. Like when you gone, like woo!
Are you serious?
No boundaries. Pooping with the door open, walking around with my butt out. I don't like walking around with my butt out when people's around. It's weird to me. But I'm Winnie the Pooh in it tomorrow.
And that is your right to have that self-care in that me time. That is your absolute right. Gosh. But I mean, Peter touched on it. Like the thing that I would use this analogy from our last recording. But
Part 2.
But Peter put it into like phenomenal words. It's kind of like you the individual are a water tower, and correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes.
So you know,
you don't get that twice. You had to have been there.
So it's a water tower. Think of yourself as a big water tower, and as the water flows from you, the tower, it goes into the neighborhood of, you know, your spouse responsibilities, husband or wife responsibilities. It goes into your family responsibilities. It goes into your work responsibilities and all those other things, just to kind of like keep everything flowing. But once the water is running low in the tower, gotta fill it back up. And filling it back up is done through me time. It's done through self-care. It's done through
in the
appreciating
company
yourself.
they love to call it maintenance. And maybe sometimes you got to think about your life as you need to maintain the quality of your life. So maintenance is needed.
Yes.
To keep you going.
And although it's needed, we
feel so fresh when you feel not so fresh.
And although it's definitely needed, I think a lot of times people realize that it's needed, but don't necessarily know where to start. I was once that way. I was like, okay, I can't be all up under Peter 24/7.
So drop this gem on him. How do you care for yourself if you don't know how?
What helped me is kind of sort of thinking of myself as someone or something else. And what I mean by that is like, so if you get a dog, if you get a puppy, if you get a puppy, you know, you love and you care for that puppy, so you take your puppy on walks. You love that puppy and you care for that puppy, so you make sure you feed it. You love it, you make sure he has good water in his bowl. So for me, I kind of sort of had to think of myself that way, because I would get so caught up in caring and doing for other people that I didn't necessarily take care of myself. So I started essentially viewing myself as a puppy.
Or a plant.
Or a plant.
If you don't like the dog or animal terms.
Or a plant. Even with a plant, you got to water it. So I try to make sure I keep my water intake.
You got to face it towards the sun sometimes.
Go out on a walk.
Some plants like plant food, whatever the hell that is. I thought it was just dirt, but
fertilizer.
Apparently they like plant food.
Yes. And those things kind of helped me practice loving and caring for myself, because I would wake up in the morning, look myself in the face and say, I love you, therefore I feed you. I love you, therefore I walk you. I love you, therefore I water you. And it sounds elementary, but for somebody who is learning how to take care of themselves and really appreciate myself for all that I'm worth, I had to start at that baseline. And if you ever need help or you ever need somewhere to start, like I said, my two biggest pieces of advice for how to start practicing self-love and self-care is practice your 5 love languages on yourself. If you have a problem figuring that out, there's a quiz online that you can take. Literally just type in 5 love languages quiz. But practice the 5 love languages on yourself, and essentially view yourself as a puppy or a plant that needs help and needs to be taken care of.
Yeah, I guess my last little tidbit, look at what you're already doing. Sometimes you might not realize some of the things you are doing can be considered self-love. Like I said, I stumbled into mine. I just wanted to actually get a proper workout in without feeling exhausted at the end of the day. So I had to get up earlier. And in turn, that made me realize that actually I would not like for you to wake up with me. I kind of want this time to myself. So you might stumble into some me time because you're already doing it and might not realize it. But you might want to become intentional about it. Be intentional about loving on yourself. Be intentional about separating yourself from others and just being with yourself and loving yourself.
Agreed. Nice tidbit.
Bam.
Alrighty. Well, as always, I thank you all so much for joining us for this week's episode. Next week, we're going to kind of talk about the home buying process because that's kind of where me and Peter are moving into and trying to figure out.
I don't like projecting money. I just like spending it. And I wish they would just say, hey, this house costs this much. Just start paying this and move in.
It's not
But
that
no,
easy.
it's never that simple, is it?
No, and this is going to be kind of like it's not going to be every week segment like the marriage pack was, but we're going
When we move,
through the home
y'all
buying
will know.
process. So,
When we start moving on things, y'all going to be a part of it.
yes.
So at least make it easier for you guys while we struggle.
Agreed. So, thanks for joining us. Be sure to like this video, share it with a friend, subscribe to our YouTube channel, come back and see us next week. You don't even guys subscribe to all that. Just come back and watch us and come chill with us next week.
Do subscribe to that Patreon, though. I would like a better mic.
Yes. And that's it. So we will see you all next time.
It's been real, guys.
Bye. It's so weird.
Hey everybody, co-host Peter stopping by to say thanks for watching and to let you know if you like this video, check out last week's video and the playlist with all of our episodes. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe and hit the bell to be notified when our vlogs, podcasts, and gameplays drop. It's been real, y'all.